Back again. Right, the car is a Nissan Skyline R32 GTR, and I've had this car since 2007. One of the first things I bought when I came to Australia. Always loved these cars, watching Bathurst back in the UK, and also when they started racing in the Saloon Car Championships in the UK, and they lapped everything in the field, maybe even twice. Just a complete monster of a car in its day. A 2.6 six-cylinder RB26, and this one's pretty standard. Still got most of its standard inlet side anyway. The job that's been done on it is I had to change the cylinder head, and at the same time I'm putting on new turbos. The turbos that were on it were perfect, but they were the original Garrett's, which have a ceramic rear turbine, and the idea was finally to give in and tune this a bit. So there's a boost restrictor in this pipework down here that's been removed, so it was limited I think to 12 psi with the boost restrictor, and taking that out gives you 14 to 15, something like that. And these are bigger turbos. Can't remember what they are. I maybe try and put some comments in the below or something like that. I can't remember. Oh, there's one up here, yeah. So anyway, they're eBay specials, so all the haters can start hating. Kanagawa TD 05s, H's. This is some of the stuff that's got to go back on. As I said, I started this a year ago because I started to get oil in the coolant. So I went through the usual drain and flush 100 times kind of thing, and there's an oil cooler, transfer cooler down there that's supposed to fail, and that changed that as well. Nothing made any difference. So I eventually said, well, I'm going to have to take the engine apart and have a look, and read up on the forums, and unfortunately this engine has a few weaknesses. People tell you it's unbustable, but you know, things happen. It had I think it's got a crack in the rear cylinder between the oil and water galleries, the rear six cylinder around there. And what was happening is, under normal, start-up cold start conditions, it was sealing, and then when it heated up, it opened up, and at that time the oil pressure is much greater than the coolant pressure, and the oil just navigates its way into the system. So the whole coolant, heater, everything system's all been out and cleaned and flushed. The cylinder head's off. You can't see the crack, so I don't know. So I'm still unsure. Well, I'm pretty sure, but I'm still uncertain. And cylinder head's on. I took the opportunity to tidy up the engine bay a bit. Just rattle canned, mastering rattle canned, because they're originally primer. And then the top coat's put on the outside, so there's nothing fancy that needed to be done there. Gave it all a good clean, new fittings, fixtures, and nothing much else. So the bottom end still standard, still strong. Bores were perfect, so I'm hoping that this works. So I've been doing this for a year, taking my time in the garage down. I've got two sheds, one's down at the bottom of the house. No lift, no hoist, so it's a difficult thing to do without a hoist. So I've decided that this is the next one I'm going to finish. The Alpha you saw in the previous video was a resounding success, and I've got some videos backed up to show you some of that work as well. And I'm getting some editing software and equipment over Christmas. Yay! And I'll become a slightly more professional. So for those that hate one-take wonders and all that, I'm sorry, but it's all I can do just now. But I thought that this car does generate a lot of interest, and it's a big YouTube favourite as well, so I'm thinking of using this as one of the core channel things and doing stuff that, trouble is, stuff is getting expensive on this car. You know, when I bought it, 2007, $18,000, probably, you know, the bottom of the market. It was good condition, quite rare in spark silver. Yeah, so I don't know what it'd be worth now, but certainly more than that. Not for the sale though. So I'll just walk you around. So, hey, the only tri-spoke wheels you should ever have. I suppose they're 6-spoke when you're thinking it. Anyway, tri-spoke, super advanced, 17 by 10s with Kumo extra tyres on, all round, all brand new before it came off the road. You can see it's had a repaint. It needed it because it was little parking dings and lacquer lifting on the spoiler and a few other scratches, but nothing serious. So yeah, I took the plunge and painted it about 10 years ago, and it's still pretty good, to be honest. Oh, the lights. I don't know if I did the right thing. However, at night they look good. I've still got the originals. Everything that I took off is still there. Got a carbon exhaust protector. The exhaust is actually a titanium Tommy Extreme exhaust, I think they call it. And it sounds like a scalded cat. It's an unbelievable sound. And it was choked off by one of these, you know, what they call compliance cats in Australia, which was I think it was only a 2.5-inch bore. So even I've got a new cat to replace that. Up on top of my blaster there, a high flow cat. So that'll release a few more of those killer wasps. Right, standard inside, replaced some of the plastic that had been drilled for, you know, all the radar detectors and everything that seem obligatory in Japan. The dash is in excellent nick as well, none of those bubbles. It's been garaged mostly, this car. Wheels good nick. They're becoming ridiculously expensive. People used to throw them away. I've still got the original seats, don't worry, these are Kevlar backed Bride GS, and they are a significant upgrade. They lower you right down in the car and obviously hug you, and it changes the driving experience. So in general, all nice inside. You get the usual issue on, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but on R32s is the vinyl lifting off the inner pillar there. I'll get that fixed eventually. Nothing much to see in the boot except a spare tyre and a subwoofer. Yes, I do have a subwoofer in it. Interesting fact, I found out just this. I had this badge sitting away and I had another badge on it. It's not the best condition, but it's original. And it's original and it's painted the colour of the car between the G and the T, which is quite rare. So there you go. There you go. So that's the runaround of the car. I'm going to put it up in the air and I'll try and keep you interested with it whilst I do so. Although that noise is probably really annoying in a video, isn't it? Didn't think about that. This hoist is a lifesaver for me. I just can't be bothered lying on my back under cars with my arms in the air anymore. I just find it less enjoyable. And if you're going to do this, you need to enjoy it, don't you? Because why the hell would you spend all this money, time away from your family and do this stuff if you didn't enjoy it? I don't know. Anyway, it's getting itself up in the air. I had to move all the cars out because the job I'm setting up for is I'm going to pressure wash underneath. It hasn't been done since I bought it, and I'm a bit of a obsessive about the cleanliness underneath of a car, which is sad, I know, but is a fact. So here we are, we're coming up to the top now. Not long now, I promise. Right, and I'll just try and do this with the box. Right, that's it safe. So underneath, it's obviously it's an import. There were 100 of these brought into Australia, and they actually have a ridiculous premium if you can get them, because they're obviously the Australian market, but there's no, as far as I can see, there's no real benefit to having that other than maybe they're better condition rust-wise. However, this was a southern Japanese car, and I bought it off the guy who imported it. So you can see underneath, we'll start at the back, nice and straight. Underneath the exhaust there you can see the boot pan, fuel tank, plastic fuel tank, unfortunately filled with fuel the day I took off the road. What a flipping idiot. So that's all got to go. That's a waste of money and time and effort. High cast I think is the rear steering, yeah. So it's got rear steer here. Just had some maintenance on the ball joints for that. Tyne Super Street suspension, very good actually, and I actually raised it a bit from when I got it because the roads around here are shocking. So I like a bit of clearance to swallow the potholes that appear randomly. Tough old beast though. You look at the heaviness of the fittings and fixtures. Something I never knew about Nissan is they are very, very well engineered. You know, it's almost akin to a Mercedes when you look underneath it. And you just tell by the gauge of the steel and the coatings and the fixtures and fittings, etc. It's high quality. So there's the back end, the diff. Very common upgrade for various cars to take this whole cradle and fit it to other cars because it's a good independent rear strong setup. That's a thing from Nissan, some kind of thing that's got loads of lines going in it. I bet that's for the high cast distribution. The reservoir for it's up underneath here, I think. You have to take something to get to it. I've filled it up before. There you have the rear takeoff and then the front wheel drive shaft in there. So I'm seeing if this is getting in focus. You can't tell if it's getting in focus. I'll look at this video after. If it's rubbish, I'll delete it and you'll never know I had it. Yeah, so nice long gearbox and then into the engine where I'm working, trying to get things done. Very, very tight, and as I said, a disaster to try and do lying on your back in the garage. So anyway, what else am I doing with this after I wash it? Well, you can see a lot of the brown stuff you see is actually oil from the coolant mix that sprayed back through the car, because the car was running fine with the problem. It just was, spraying oil everywhere. However, there are some spots of rust coming through the very minimal rust protection that's been applied. I've found a similar coating to this. And what I'm going to do is very, very selectively Dremel and wire brush, not removing any more coating than I can, trying to keep it original. And then I'm going to recoat it with this sealer at places. So there you'll see there's a few rust spots there, just starting to go. The corners of the right wheels there, underneath here. There's a fella in Queensland who's doing one of these, and I admire what he's done. Took it all apart, everything, and he's endless enthusiasm to get it done. But they're so hard to work on and so expensive that I'm just going to keep it as minimum as I can to get it back on the road and usable. So the sills, I would imagine the cars that were imported to the UK, they would have rotted within years, to be honest, unless they were looked after, because the underproofing isn't good. Certainly nowhere near as good as, for example, my Mercedes, which is, well thought out and applied and executed. So a pressure wash will tell all. I'll get all the oil off and I'll see what I can do. And then it's just a case of getting under here and some graft. So I'm not going to film me pressure washing, but I'll probably try and make this video up over Christmas. Oh, I've got a bit of a boot that's, we have to get that done. So let's see, it's a bit dry. It'll live, but yeah, I'm going to get them done. Yeah, sorry, I keep jumping about. Anyway, I will get it done, and if I get this editing software and computer set up and everything like that, I'll put an after bit and maybe some indication of the little repairs that I've done, just so people can track it. As I say, I have limited finances in life. Everybody kind of has, but I'm open to suggestions of what I should do with it. Initially, I just want to try and drive it again. I do like driving it. I'm no way capable of taking it to anywhere near its limit. And I'm not into drag racing and don't do burnouts and all that kind of youthful stuff. But, you know, club days, coffee, breakfast, maybe some reliability trials. Just get out on the road. So, I'll see you. Thank you.